Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now today's video, kind of a fun topic. This is what I'm hoping is going to be a little bit of a discussion. So if you have any thoughts or anything you'd like to weigh in on, I encourage you to weigh in on the comments below. I'd really love to hear your opinions, your experience, and your thoughts on this topic. So today's topic: too queen or not too queen? Well, bottom line is, if you're a knife collector, you may be one type of collector or another. Do you have knives that you turn into safe queens? You keep them perfect, you put them away, you just take them out and you look at them from time to time? Or are you a user? Are you somebody that just, no matter what knife it is, you don't care, you're gonna use it, you're gonna love it, you're gonna put it to its actual intended purpose, get them out in the field and just enjoy the way they feel? Well, that's the topic today. I have a number of thoughts about this, and well, if you've watched my channel, you've probably seen Joe from Survival Attitude. I kind of wish I was doing this video with him because, well, Joe has a tendency to turn his knives into safe queens, and well, I always say to him, get that thing out and just use it. I am personally very much a user, and I don't care what the knife is. If it's in my collection, it's gonna be a user. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. So, queen or not too queen? That is the question. Personally, for me, I am a user. I am a knife user for a number of reasons. First and foremost, why do we have knives in the first place? We have them because they're tools. Tools are intended to be used for an intended purpose. That's the first thing for me. So if I'm gonna buy a tool, you better believe I'm gonna use it. But what about for all the collectors out there? I mean, maybe they're not looking at these as tools. Maybe they're looking at these knives as an investment. Maybe there's something that's truly collectible. It's rare. It's something that you get in your hands that you maybe can't replace. Maybe it has sentimental value. It's something that you've had for a long time. It was a gift from a relative or a loved one or somebody who maybe is no longer with you. So you hold on to these things for a specific reason. So again, weigh in on the comments below. Why would you be a collector? Why would you be a user? And when do you safe queen your knives if you do? So here, as you take a quick look at some of my fixed blades, you'll see there's a bunch of stuff in here. And almost all of these, in fact, yes, all of these are users of some sort or another. Like, I cannot go without using these knives. How could I possibly have these here and not use them? Now, I do have knives that I intend on using. I just haven't had a chance to really getting around to it. So if I'm gonna present these in a review or something, I do try to keep them in fairly good condition until I get to that point. And then I have knives that are of my brand that are for sale, so these definitely not going to be used. And then there's the folders, which I always carry a folder pretty much every day of some shape or form. So, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that I just have blades coming out of every direction, but why not use them? Why not enjoy them? Get them out into the field. I mean, axes, blades, tools of all sorts. Why would you safe queen anything? And so here I have some very specific knives to illustrate this conversation. The first thing is, well, again, when are you going to safe queen? When is it the appropriate time? Now, as I already mentioned, for me, generally never. However, I do think I have some blades that I should really consider safe queening. But for the discussion today, this is where we're gonna start. I have here a knife that I have not used yet. This is an SE5. It took me a long time to actually own my own SE5. I know that seems funny, but it's true. It took me a while. This is literally in pristine condition. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. So is this a knife that if you guys had it in your collection, Would you safe queen this, and why? And for me, I'm going to say hell no, for a number of reasons. First and foremost, here's my criteria for what might, and I'm saying might, be a safe queen. First and foremost, you know, it's an SE5, it's a nice knife, it's expensive enough, but bottom line is, to me, it's almost like what I'm going to call a dime a dozen. Like, you can get a good deal on an SE5. You can find these all day long, you know, either buy it new or, you know, get it on the, you know, used market, but you can get your hands on these. Like, there's no shortage of supply on an SE5. So if I don't have this SE5 today, like, I'll have a different one tomorrow if I really want one. I could put this on the market, I could sell it off, I could get my money back, and then I could move on and just buy something different. And then a year from now, get another SE5 if I really wanted it. So for me, something like this, even though it's pristine, even though it's beautiful, even though this is, in my opinion, probably one of the best color combinations that they have, it's not queen worthy. So to me, this does not meet the definition for a safe queen. Now here's my next example. This is a dark timber bushy. This is and it's really a mid-tech knife. Very hard to get your hands on. I mean, these knives here, you have to be on time for the drop. And since this dropped, and I happened to get one, they have not had these available again. This is fairly expensive. It was close to $300. You know, is this queen worthy? To me, this is going to be on the line. This is really getting to the point where you have limited ability to get your hands on these. It's very nice and high quality. It's not a custom. Again, keep in mind, this is mid-tech, but for me, this still doesn't make the cut. I mean, it's going to be a model that I believe is going to be available again. If you wanted to, you could spend a lot of money on it, but you could get one on the used market. And a lot of people do sell these literally brand new and quote unquote used. So to me, even though this is beautiful, it's just a gorgeous knife, it's really expensive, it still doesn't make the cut. And for me, I am more interested as a knife enthusiast to feel the handle and to get it in my hands, get outside, use it, do some carving, enjoy it for its intended purpose as a beautiful tool. That's what this is for me. It's just a gorgeous tool. It's a little bit expensive, kind of hard to get your hands on, but at the same time, doesn't make the cut for a queen. Now we're starting to step into some new territory, and you'll notice so far I've covered all fixed blades. I will get into some folders for the discussion here because I think they have their own sort of place and their own discussion to be had. Now here, this is an interesting knife. This is a limited edition buck, and I forget what year, but they do the buck of the month. And this one here was the buck of the month for whatever month it was. This here is, again, limited edition with this limited edition G10 S35 VN steel. Just a beautiful fixed blade, which is actually a one-of-a-kind sort of takeoff on their folder version of this knife, which I think is cool and comes with this just beautiful leather sheath. So is this queen worthy? It's close to me because there's such a limited number of these. They're not going to make them again. You may not be able to get this ever again exactly like this. Now, have I used it? Yes, I've used it on a little bit of food prep. Have I beat on it? No. Could I clean this up completely and then make this literally look pretty much brand new to the point where if I wanted to gain the sort of highest possible resale value and collector's value, could I do that? Probably. The sheath is close. It's got some marks on it. It's not like this is mint condition, but I think anybody would be really thrilled to have this in their collection, especially if they're a buck fan and especially if they're looking for unique and rare items. So this to me is definitely on the verge of what would be considered a queen, and that's probably the reason why I haven't used this more. Now next, these to me, and I am in a battle with Joe about this. He says you do not use these knives. Again, I repeat, do not use these knives. He has sent me warnings via text message not to use these. And you know what? I agree. These to me are queens. These are safe queens for me. And why? Reason being, these are no longer available. They're discontinued. You cannot buy these anymore. On top of it, the actual designer has died. So he's not making any more knives. And these are in literally perfect condition. So these to me meet the definition of a queen. So this here, this is the Buck Thug, designed by Ron Hood, literally in mint condition, unused, factory coating in perfect condition. The handles, mint, just beautiful. The sheath in perfect condition. Everything about this, fantastic. And this one here, well, this is the Buck Punk. So the Buck Punk, again, designed by Ron Hood. Again, this here, discontinued. You cannot get it. Literally mint condition. This blade, perfect. Everything perfect. So just a fantastic collector's piece. A knife that's discontinued. You can't really find these and not in this condition. And I mean, maybe sometimes, but the designer is also deceased. So to me, this starts to meet the true definition in my mind of what would make for a suitable safe queen. Now here, this is a funny one because this for me is really about sentimental value. This here is my own personal Woodscraft Chonto, my design. This is my very first knife manufactured at a multiple copy, like production level knife. Again, this is sort of like a mid-tech, but this here is one from the first production run. It's stamped first production run. It's designed and configured as a first production run. And so for me personally, this just has a huge amount of sentimental value. This is something that once it's gone, there's no such thing as a first production run of your first production knife. So I want this to be perfect. I don't want to use this. I have other ones that are users from the first production run that I've just beat on and tortured, and they're my users, and that's fine. But to me, this is a queen. This should stay perfect. I will use it to help advertise the knife. I will show it from time to time, but it's going to be perfect. I'm going to enjoy it perfect. It's going to have the factory edge. It may always have the little coating of factory oil on it for all I know. But I can tell you this, it's not going to be used. This is going to be a queen. What am I going to do with it long term? Heck if I know. Should stay in my collection, sentimental value, and really a milestone in my own life. So that, to me, is a reason why I have this as a queen. And so let's get into some folders here. Well, this is an interesting knife. This is the Ontario Knives Retribution 2. A very interesting model. This is just a really cool knife designed by Jerry Hossam and manufactured by Ontario Knife Company. Now, you can get these, and you really have to look around, but you can get them in very good condition. But, at this point, is this queen worthy? I mean, I have used this knife. I would also say, no, it's not quite queen worthy yet. First off, Jerry Hossam, still alive. Second of all, you can find these from time to time, even though it's a discontinued knife. I mean, you're not going to get a brandy new one unless somebody had it in their collection. So, I mean, maybe you get lucky. These also don't have a huge amount of resale value. I mean, a knife that's similar and actually has a lot more resale value, the Hossam, and this particular knife, This is the Forager. So there were 4 of these made. This manufactured by Spyderco. Interestingly enough, you can see there are a lot of similarities here, both in N690, both with that same sort of handle scale material. Generally speaking, you can tell they're sort of designed by the same designer, and they have a similar look and feel and flair. But these, both of them, I mean, I've used this at pretty good length, and this even has really good resale value. It's no longer available. You cannot necessarily get these, and this didn't even make a queen. This thing's pretty sick, to be honest with you. But the Retribution knives, not quite there for me. Still on the verge of being a user. Now this knife for me, well, this was a user. It actually still is, but this is getting closer to maybe sitting in a queen sort of position. So this is the Benchmade Contigo folder. This is a very nice knife. I always wanted this for a good hard user. This is a Warren Osborne design. Now, you can still get these. They're still available. The only reason why I would consider making this a queen is because it's an Osborne design and Osborne is no longer alive. Now, the fact of the matter is, this particular copy, I've used it so much that at this point, it's definitely like used. I would make a queen more of a perfect copy. So if I wanted one of these to be my queen, honestly, I would dig for one that's literally brand new, and I would put it away in perfect condition. At that point, I'd feel better about calling it a queen, but this, even for me, does not quite meet the definition just yet. Now here, this is my Spyderco Endura. Does this meet the definition of a queen? Well, you can still get the Endura, but this is Gen 1. I mean, this goes back to literally the very start of Spyderco's, FRN handles with these integral clip-it designs, very lightweight. I mean, this was kind of like, in a lot of ways, and I'm not going to say by any means the start of things for Spyderco, but it was really a launching platform, and at that gained a lot of popularity. For me personally, this is the first knife that I ever had that was like my real knife. I mean, prior to this, it was a bunch of Boy Scout knives and, things that I would tinker with and kind of mess up and destroy. This has sentimental value for me. Would I queen this? Hell no. This is still a user, man. I love this knife. I love carrying it. I don't carry it nearly as much as I should. But bottom line is, even though this has a lot of sentimental value, it's still not there as a queen. I mean, if I broke the clip, it would suck. But I could get another Endura. It wouldn't be the end of the world. Again, yes, it would suck. I'd be upset. But you can replace these. They're not like super limited. They're not impossible to get. And even though this has a ton of sentimental value, it's still not a queen. Now, this is an interesting one. Now, I'm going to be biased and weigh in the way you choose. For me personally, this here, I can see, and I'm just saying I can see why people would make a knife like this a queen. Now, this is the newest model at the time of this video of Best Tech Knives premium line. The reason why this, to me, I would consider for, and I'm saying for other users, why it might be a queen, well, because of the price tag. This is really expensive pocket jewelry. This knife is phenomenal, but it's also like just shy of 300 bucks. So if you're somebody that's buying knives as a collector and you just want them to be pristine, I kind of get that. Personally, I would carry this, but I don't pay for Best Tech Knives. I put them in my pocket. I carry them. I use them. I can talk about them, speak about them, review them. It's a luxury that I have, that other people don't get that opportunity. So I'm not going to be the best judge when it comes to this. So I put $300 folders in my pocket all the time, and then I use them and I enjoy them. I don't necessarily buy them all. So again, that's not really a fair statement. I can understand why a true collector would put this in their collection and then not use it, and they would queen it, and they have that type of a collection. Again, I get it. It's just not for me. But weigh in the comments below. I mean, this being literally a brand new knife of an up-and-coming designer who's making a name for himself with a company that's well established. But you can get your hands on these pretty easy. It's not like they're all sold out. I mean, you want to go buy one. As soon as they're available, you can go buy them, and they're typically available at most retailers. So shouldn't be a big deal. It's just really expensive and very nice. And so again, I'm curious about your thoughts. I mean, when do you create this sort of differentiation between what should be a queen and what should be a user? I mean, for me, it's pretty cut and dry. If you can get your hands on a knife and they're readily available, to me, use it and enjoy it. But when they start getting to like these thresholds of very limited run availability, hard to get your hands on, I mean, you really do start to sort of break into that threshold where maybe you need to think twice about using it. I hate thinking twice about using my knives. I really do. I mean, at this point, I actually feel bad about taking these out of the sheath, because each time you do, you chance, cutting the webbing or, damaging the finish, or heaven forbid you drop the knife. I hate that. I just want to use the things. Do you think I really want to feel the way this buck punk is in my hands as I'm slicing and using it in the wilderness for its intended use? Of course I want to. These are tools. They're intended to be used. I want to use these as tools. If I do, Joe's gonna yell at me because these should be queens. I get it. I understand that, but what do you think? So weigh in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinions on all of this. So let's answer that question: too queen or not too queen? So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.